And thus ends the tale of the three-toed platypus that has been haunting Foxville. This has been Eileen Wurst. Back to you, Genevieve Bargella.
Thank you so much, Eileen. Today in the studio, in Eileen's absence, we have brought in a local legend, Herbert, the man who pilots the SS Clatfartburg.
Hello, great to be here. Alive here from my boat, so sorry if it gets a little rocky, and I hope the wind that's setting through our sails metaphorically isn't too loud on the microphone.
We know you have a history here with CFB News, and I was wondering, could you talk a little bit about how your time at this place was and how it's changed since you worked there?
Yeah, certainly no. Back in my day, we were just thinking about adding cameras to the news, We were really into just handwriting it and sometimes having an animator come in, but then we realized it would be a little more exciting with some cameras, so I didn't have to have, that actor figure, as you know, until recently, but I had a great time discovering news.
Can I clarify real quick? Are you saying that before... Was the televised news for a brief period of time just handwritten slates on the TV screen?
Oh yes. I learned calligraphy. I could write a beautiful thank you note because of that. But yeah, no, we got all the templates at the Clatfartburg Public Museum, and it was nice. And then if you went into the town square, there would be someone playing piano to go along with it, to match whatever was happening.
Wow.
If it was like, the Denny's set fire, that piano man would start going nuts, somebody birthed a child, you get something a little sweeter,
Wow.
Kiwi. I am also a musician. I don't know if you know this, but I'm quite great at the banjo. Wake at my lake is available on my boat, Clatfartburg. I don't think it's anywhere else, and if it is, it's pirated. And even though I'm a man of the seas, I don't support that.
We have one very highly requested question from the audience of CFB News, which is, have you ever thought of making your boat slower?
Look, the boat's... I have thought about it. Oh, no, the microphone's on the ground. Oh, no. Shit, the boat's... Hold on. I'm trying to catch up. The boat started moving away from the dock. Shit, the boat moves too fast.
I think we may have to cut him off here. You can go take tours from Herbert on the SS Clatfartburg down by the lake. You can hop on the tours there. You can choose from a 2-hour or 4-hour version. There's also a bar on there, which you might need. So. This is Genevieve Bargella signing off with CFB News. Hello, everyone. This is Now Entering Clatfartburg, a comedy world-building podcast. I'm Felicia.
And I'm Elaine.
And today we're tackling the Clatfartburg Community College. This was a topic we came up with very early. I think this was like topic 2 as soon as we found the name Clatfartburg. I think this was in our 20-minute laughing fest insanity where we just started naming different things that could be in Clatfartburg. And Clatfartburg Community College was featured highly in that.
Yes, and it's going to be such an interesting ride to do this because, this kind of gives them a college town a little bit of an edge. And
a little, I wouldn't call a community college part of a college town.
Yeah,
as someone who attended a community college.
We will have students, We will
have students, yes.
And I'm excited to see, because we've both brought forth some good educational ideas for this institution. We have each prepared 2 classes and then some clubs/activities, extracurriculars, because every Clatfartburg Community College student is a well-rounded person and gets to have many interests as well along with their education. But yeah, I'm excited. With Clatfartburg, it's a fictional town, by the way, that we are expanding in every single way. And along the way, we love hearing people's headcanons, and we're all kind of in this together. So if you ever have one, you can email us at clatfartburg@gmail.com or hit us up in the DMs at Clatfartburg on the socials. But today, we are going to be studious and set these brilliant minds and prepare them to go out into the world. And so if you're ready to begin your degree, Felicia,
Ooh.
we can start setting the foundation of Clatfartburg Community College.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Felicia has her wizard hands out, so I think we're
Okay,
ready.
you were doing a wizard voice, though, so in my defense.
Yeah, oh, it fits.
And you were doing such an intense accent that you pronounce brilliant as brilliant, which is intense.
I could never be a spy. That's a bummer. With any institution,
Yes.
Clatfartburg Community College, we're having people who are maybe seeking furthering like different things they've been interested in. Maybe they want to hang out here, debating if they do want to go do the whole 4-year thing or whatever. We probably got some high school students who want to get some early college credits.
I did do a quick Google. Apparently, some community colleges can offer 4-year degrees. It's not like not allowed.
Oh, nice.
So
okay.
that actually helps because I kind of was like, I feel like they do need to have a few. Like, I feel like this is kind of a thing.
Yeah. Since this is our playground, I would love for Clatfartburg Community College to be very affordable and
like really nice. Like
really
nice. I actually think this school is good. Like,
yes. Yeah, this is a good
I was going to talk about I think this is a good school. They're basically a normal college except they don't have sports or dorms.
Yeah, actually.
That's it.
That fits a lot. Yeah. So they're very very heavily community in that aspect, which makes sense because Clatfartburg is a very tight-knit sort of
it's got a tone. It's got a tone.
There's something there with the citizens,
If any film is set in Clatfartburg, it's automatically a genre film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you cannot have a realistic, like, Spotlight-esque thriller in Clatfartburg,
Yeah. So you're probably not having, that being said, we're probably not having, like, a ton of people traveling from, other states to come
I will say,
to this.
I think it has a flagship program or two that some people do.
Ooh, okay. It's like this is their specialty, and so we do get the occasional person.
Yeah, and maybe they have a small dorm area for those people or something like that. It's not crazy. But
gotcha. Okay, so we have a few people
or some
who
affiliated rental housing. That's probably more what it is.
Yes. And those people might feel a bit like outcasts, and they get very close though on their side. And it's not that people are mean. It's just like you're a newbie, and Clatfartburg is fucking insane, so it's a lot to take in. Though they do have a Clatfartburg orientation program where other students, will help walk them through the history and the know-hows of Clatfartburg. They show them on
the river tour.
Yeah, and there's the official one, and then there's the hazing. Just kidding. No one has severe hazing, but they might be like, water balloon fight, or, whatever devilish thing they decide to do. So, okay, cool. So, mostly local people with the occasional, like, people coming out for a very, like, specific, highly ranked program. This community college has a great reputation, very good rating, very good, like, students feel like they're not getting ripped off, and they don't feel put down, and this is a good, happy experience.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I imagine, since it's a community college, it's not going to be huge. But, we've got enough that, like, when you graduate, they do have to go maybe use... I don't. Would they have their own auditorium, or are they using the high school basketball arena?
I think they do have an auditorium. Well, they do, because it's in one of mine. So they have an auditorium.
Then they have an auditorium.
Maybe
okay,
it's
cool.
not big enough, or maybe they just do it in groups. So they do have an auditorium.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Because I was going to say, is this small enough to all be in one big building, or do we have, like, a couple mini buildings? And it's a campus? That was something
I was going to talk about. I think it's a campus, because I was thinking about this. I believe that the Clatfartburg government puts a lot of money into this community college. Like, I think it is, because I don't think Clatfartburg has any other colleges. Like, I just don't think they do.
No.
I mean, maybe there's a weird one, but it's extremely private and very expensive. So it's, like, not the same thing. Like, there's not, like, a public school.
It's got, like, an iron wrought fence around it, and you get weird vibes from it. No one's actually fully been in unless you're, like, part of it, and you don't know who those people are, and you don't know where they go after they arrive.
Yeah. And you feel like there's definitely been, like, multiple hate crimes there.
Yeah. Like, it's got bad energy.
Yeah, you don't want to go. But I don't think maybe the state schools are far away, and Faxville has a very different vibe. You know what I mean? And I think maybe, Clatfartburg Community College has a very, like it's a small college feel, and they want to retain that. But I also think that they kind of use these classes to kind of keep the vibe of Clatfartburg going.
Oh,
and
for
we'll get
sure.
into mine. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think the Clatfartburg government understands that Clatfartburg's role is to be as fucked up as possible, because that brings them tourist money. Because tourist money is what keeps this town afloat. Because there's no way anything else makes sense. This is like a tourist town, but people do live there, you know?
Yeah.
It's not a summer home. Everybody will have gone for the weekend if you live in a 6-hour radius. Because it's just like, what the fuck is going on there, you know? It's like the rat hole in Chicago.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. And would then explain why, I don't know, some of the classes we might hear might not necessarily be normal. But that sounds lovely. So, okay, I'm a little freshman.
I have one more question. I think they don't have a mascot because they want to have a grown-up image.
I think so. Yes, actually, that works. Yes.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Great.
Yes. But do we imagine, what kind of font?
Oh, I'm thinking...
Because I don't think it can be just a normal, like, you know, Calibri light body.
No, I think it's like, it's a serif. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely a serif. I'm thinking like Times New Roman's fancier cousin, you know.
Ooh,
I don't know what that would be, but something...
Times Newer Roman cousin.
I was trying to come up with a better joke. I was actually looking at the Clatfartburg cover art to see if I could reference a letter on the cover.
Oh, yeah, any of those. I feel like the F is a pretty fun one, if I recall. My phone is so severely gone.
Look at my own cover art I made for months. Wait, I should go to the font guide that I made.
Yeah, the font guide. That's so beautifully laid out for because almost, I believe every single letter, if not most of them, are a different font.
Different fonts. And it somehow doesn't really look like it, but it was. You know, I mean, it does, but it doesn't, because I spent so long trying to find a single font, and none of them match the vibe, so I said, give me 10. I will give you a specific reference for what font I think it is. Give me a second.
Felicia created a diagram also. That then,
so that I could know what the fonts were.
Oh no, it was helpful because I when I go to make the reels and stuff, I was like, let me check it, and I was like, oh wow,
yeah,
it's like this is beautiful and intricate.
Century Schoolbook bold. That's what I was thinking. Thank you.
Schoolbook. Okay,
exactly. Or Constantia.
Bold.
We can also do Constantia if y'all want. Those are both from the Microsoft.
Constantia does sound like somebody who like works on the staff.
Yeah,
that's a great name.
That is a really good name. I should fix the name I made for one of these because it's bad. So
keep Constantia in your back pocket. Release her once it's needed.
I did find a weird word generator that gives you words and their definitions. And let me tell you, it's going to be a menace for coming up with last names because I refuse to just use normal last names. I have to look up weird words because it's more fun.
Oh, I love that. Okay, cool. So we know the font, the most important thing.
which we
okay, no joke.
Know.
That really helped me visualize everything, though. So everybody go look at the font. Okay. So I'm a freshman. I'm not going to give myself a name and a character. That's too much work. Anyway, I'm a little freshman, and I'm going to go up, and I'm going to sign up for some classes. It's one of the Pankin nephews.
It's another Pankin thing. She has so many nephews.
She has so many nephews. That's why she didn't have kids. She's like, God,
Elijah Pankin.
I feel like I have them. Elijah Pankin is deciding to get his degree, but he doesn't know what he wants to do yet. So he's going to look and take a lot of different classes. And so he goes through the course book, and the first class that he looks at, what is it, Felicia?
The first class he looks at is a joint class with the History Department of the Public Museum of Clatfartburg.
Oh, good.
It is DES 310, High Concept Experience Design. So, as we've been saying, Clatfartburg is known for these types of things. What I wrote down, this is word for what I wrote down, basically about exhibits. Class has government grant as these kinds of experiences are what CFB is known for. Been going for a while, essentially molds talent for things like a hunch for lunch. So I think this is a degree program there of like kind of the fucked up bullshit. There's a few places that could do like theme park design. There's a few colleges. I know because I looked at them when I was like 14. I was like, God, what I wish. That would be so cool. And I think they have a course like that, but for like more small town shit. Like I think a lot of the small businesses in Clatfartburg were born out of this program. Like I think,
you know, that checks a lot.
Because I think the only way you'd be able to actually keep these afloat is if there was like a lot of resources and experience to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And because all the experiences, I want everyone to know, when we talk about a hunch for lunch, you know when you go in an escape room and you can still see the thermostat? Fuck that. Or you can see the baseboards or the...
Yeah.
Clatfartburg doesn't fuck around. If it's themed, it's fucking themed.
They will
You're
get out a
immersed,
screwdriver
bitch.
and they will get out the plywood.
Yeah.
You will be
Fuck
immersed.
safety codes. You will be immersed.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of elaboration on this, but I do think it is key to kind of the program. I don't know. I think it might not be the history department.
Understand because I actually haven't DES. Is that what you said? I haven't like actually heard that before.
Oh, yeah.
So
I don't know what
like,
it is. I'm just thinking design.
Oh, you just made up. Oh, okay.
Design. I made it.
It sounded so legit. I was like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was giving them the little 3-letter acronyms that they do on college catalogs.
Okay, so basically, like, sort of thinking of like, yeah, designing an exhibit.
Exactly.
The postal service section, for example, and like, you know, how do you want to stage the mannequins to do stuff? That would be amazing. My sister-in-law actually does that. But sometimes she plays with taxidermy, and I'm like, ooh, girl.
I'm jealous. Not about the taxidermy, about the
yeah,
exhibits.
I was like, I'm jealous up until then.
Yeah.
But that is kind of the dream. Elijah would have so much fun with that.
Exactly. But does he want to break away from the legacy? We don't know.
He doesn't know yet. He's like, maybe this will be helpful. You know, I can like, you know, when you get a little pressure from family to be like, get your business degree. You're not going to get a job with anything else. You know, like his family's pretty chill, but there is still like, you know, a pressure. They have a lot of entrepreneurs in the family. And so he's like, well, maybe this will help. You know, I can help.
And you can take this as an elective as part of the business program.
And that's
what. It's experimental. And this is the kind of stuff that people come to the college for. Because they're like, what the fuck? Like, if you want to do that, it's a good place to do it. So
so for my classes, I kind of put down like what the homework or final projects are like.
Oh, so I have final project for another one. I think maybe for this one, homework, I think you're going to different big exhibits around Clatfartburg and writing about them. What do you think? What do you know? So like going to a Hunch for Lunch, experiencing that experience that has been designed, you know, going to the postal museum, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And then I think at the end, it's probably pitching your own and maybe making a little diorama.
Oh, cute. Okay, so he's got his history/business credit is there. And he does have to get a science credit. We all do. And I was just thinking of like, I took a superhero with physics class in college because I'm not a science or math gal. And so basically I read comic books and we watched like, you know, Marvel movies and stuff. And then we used that to learn physics. And then my final physics project was talking about how Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer fell in like uranium. And then I went through all of the like chemical changes and then I passed. And I wanted to offer, you know, like there's appreciation of math classes and stuff like that where it's not, you're not doing
like
real
how
stuff,
I took math for teachers so I could just get a math credit by doing addition and subtraction really well. And also it's kind of great.
See, and I really appreciate those classes going out there because, you know, gen eds, obviously it's good that we understand atoms or whatever the fuck, even though I don't look at them technically in such depth and I could live my life in ignorance, but I get it. We should know these things. But for some people like me, like it's just never going to click. And so this is a way to engage with it. And so I thought, well, we should get people a fun way to engage with physics. And so I give you Slipperology. It is the study of slippery things. So, and just because I know you guys are like slippery, so like just to scientifically define something slippery, oh, this is going to get wild. To define something slippery, it's when a surface has a low coefficient of friction, allowing objects to glide across the surface. So there is a lot that they can still learn with it. This is taught by Professor Bet Slidell, and the joke is slippery when Bet.
That's incredible. That is so fucking good.
It's a great class. So yeah, you get a lot of people who are like, I need the science credit. But then also some people are like, this is such a niche science that you do not get to learn elsewhere. This is like, I have to collect 1 minute from this YouTube video and this article here, whatever, like all condensed. That Slidell's got it for you. So homework for this intensive science class includes 4 hours playing Mario Kart. And then you write a 10-page paper discussing the slippery obstacles you encounter, such as ice, oil spills, and thrown bananas, and how it affected you based on your vehicle and character weight. You know, comparing Koopa Troopa versus Donkey Kong, riding the little carousel. Have we discussed?
I do need to know, what is your Mario Kart character?
Okay, so for the longest time, it used to be Peach. But now that we have so many more characters, it's Koopa Troopa, but the wizard.
Okay, I've always been a Koopa Troopa girl. Always. I think we might have discussed this. The reason I picked this is a real highlight into my psyche was because when I was a child, I tried all the different child characters that looked like children, you know, like the baby Mario, baby one. And I would always get mad that they cried when they lost because I was like, you better lose it. I'm not upset. Why are you upset? You know? And Koopa Troopa was the only one who looked like a child and didn't cry. So that was why he was my main. But now sometimes I play Dry Bones because I'm older. And it feels like I've grown in that way.
I do. I'll dabble with Shy Guy when I'm feeling silly. I feel like we've also all had a moment where we're like, Diddy Kong's it. Right? We've all had a stint where we're like, Diddy Kong.
I've been a Koopa Troopa
I think
loyalist.
you should try it. Yeah.
I mean, I did like the Rosalina thing because I felt like I was supposed to, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's cool, but you don't love her as much as you love Koopa Troopa, you know?
Yeah.
That's
it's just Koopa Troopa as a wizard, and then my preferred car is the one that has little horse carousels in the front, and I know that it is not the most, it's not the one that really is the best, but to me, a wizard driving a little horse carriage car.
I liked the bikes.
Oh yeah, I liked the little like bullet bike thing, and I used to play Toad also. I used to be a Toad girly.
Wow,
because I love when Toad screams. I think we all do. So yeah, I've had a big journey, and Koopa Troopa Wizard is new for me. But so you can imagine all of the different aspects you could write in that paper. I think I've created a real class. I would like to take this class.
Yeah, I mean, both of mine I would also like to take. So
right, this is great. So that's like the
high
basic
concept experience design is just kind of my fantasy. So that's as you can tell from this fucking podcast, we're also creating the world we wish we lived in. A little bit. It's fucked, but God, I wish I was there.
I know. And then, like, the final project is you have to set up a slippery project. So most students will use banana peels. Some will use melted butter. Ice cubes are a little more dangerous. Bet Slidell does not encourage that because that tends to lead to, like, more injuries. Banana peels, people learn, aren't as slippery depending on how ripe the banana is or not. So that's also another thing they consider. So they'll do multiple banana drops. So the thing here, though, is that some people who do take this class are just like, I'm getting a grade to do pranks. And they get a little carried away. So a lot of like lower classmen or whatever are just innocent. Like there's one hallway. It's the like be cautious hallway. Like
there's like an overhang. There's a lot.
Yeah. And everyone knows maybe avoid that hallway, but there's like new people or it's this one shortcut to class. Elijah Pankin is like, I got to get to this class. And it's like, it's the hallway of doom because you will slip and you will slide. And something bad will happen to you, and it you know, it's like the one area that's not carpeted.
And they've set up like a ring camera so they can use it on their paper. You know,
the amount of times that the director of this entire college has had his hip broken, it's wild at this point. He just wears pillows around him now.
That's insane.
But he just goes along with it. He's like, but you
all
know,
the joys.
Hey, Slipperology, I'm so proud of you kids. Oh God. And then I imagine, you know, sometimes they'll do like Mario Kart tournaments and there's a lot you can play with Slippery, you know.
Is there ever a unit on the hockey team with the puck?
Oh my gosh, that could be field trip day.
Pigs.
That's good. Yes, they go out there and that's when they're like, well, this is why the puck slides the best and it's slippery. And how can we be walking on this ice and skating on it? What's, you know, slippery? How does it all work? What are all these forces? Oh, for sure they do. And then they get to go to a game. Things get wild because these are adults. So it's like, okay, class ended. And then they all just get a little drunk together. And Bet Slidell loves some vodka. So she has a great time. It's like their end of school year kind of adventures to go back and do that. But yeah, Bet Slidell also, she almost made the Olympic team for lugeing. That's how good she is at slippery.
Wow.
And sliding.
How good she is at slippery.
That's how good she is at slippery. So, caution, the surface is slippery because you're getting so much knowledge. Your brain juice is overflowing onto the floor.
Gross. I'm going to do my club because my club's bad.
Perfect. Okay.
So, I think maybe we're at freshman orientation. Elijah Pankin's walking around. He's seeing all these different clubs he could join. But, oh my God, is that nothing but the Historical Food Preservation Society? This is inspired by, I thought about this again. One of my most memorable YouTube rabbit holes, I was, I think, 15. It was like 10 p.m. at night, and I somehow ended up watching a video about how they used to store eggs in the 1800s. I think it was in a big thing of salt. Just like a big container of salt.
It's so weird what the fuck they used to do, you know?
That's what I'm saying. It's about pre-refrigerator food preservation and not letting it go moldy. And you spend the whole semester fermenting. That you start fermenting at the beginning and then it's ready at the end. It's not a class. It's just like a club.
It's a club.
This does seem like a class, but it is a club.
It's a club. Well, let's bring that club element to it. So you gather together. Does everybody, is there like some politics within the club too? Because I feel like clubs can get a little feisty sometimes.
Maybe each week a member is chosen to bring an item from the grocery store and they have to figure out how they would store it. And then in the club room, there's just like this cabinet that like you don't want to touch. Because that's
the
where
room
all
smells. You walk into that room first off, and it smells.
Yeah, because they don't get it right every time. They don't get it right every time, and they're like in the ancient days, they wouldn't have Google, so they just try and
you just have to figure it out.
You know, and if somebody comes in knowing too much, they kick them out.
Yeah,
because they said you don't need to learn.
Yeah,
you don't need to learn. You already know. So then there's a lot of people in the club who do look it up in their off time, but spend a lot of time going, guys, I just had a thought. What if we put the eggs in salt?
Like, that's crazy, right?
Have we considered?
Have we thought about getting a shovel and digging a 5-foot hole and just shoving our meats in it?
Have we thought about putting it in a rock, like in a little cave that's a rock underneath some running water, like behind a waterfall? There's somehow a little tiny cave.
What if we smoked
and that's
everything?
not from the book One in the Boxcar Children series that I read about 30 times as a child. I was enamored by this little. They had a waterfall. And there was a cave behind the water that they put their butter and milk in. Where the fuck they got butter and milk, I don't know. I'm actually thinking about that. That's crazy.
This is a great side note, too, because I forgot about that part, but I feel like my version of that was my side of the mountain. I was obsessed with, like, how the fuck are you, like, storing all this? You've unlocked a whole thing within me that I didn't realize that I am also intrigued by this. That's spooky and beautiful. I feel like also there's definitely like, you know, they have like International Food Day. And so they'll come up and be like, we made this food from the stuff we stored. Absolutely disgusting. I imagine they've yet to actually, like, maybe the closest they've gotten to success is like 75%.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they got cabbage, but cabbage, that's
it's pretty
That's
basic,
not really a win. It's fucking cabbage.
And also, I'm sorry, cabbage is not usually the most tasty thing in my opinion. So the things that they could try to make with the things that they've like, they're not great eggs, cabbage, and like.
I mean, I could give them some great cabbage recipes, but I don't think they have them.
Yeah, well, they're here to store it. They don't know how to cook it.
Exactly.
You know
I think they just
like,
have those little like paper cups, and they just put a little bit of cabbage in it. They're like, look how this cabbage has been around for 4 months. They're like, that's not that crazy. They did it once with an onion, and they were like, yeah, that's just kind of an onion. Like, that's not. Oh,
I feel like
impossible.
a weird vibe they might have too is they look down on anybody in the group who goes out for their food and doesn't like pack a lunch. It's like
I could
you
see
don't
that.
know how they you stored that in that's a frozen dinner. Oh. You just put it in the freezer, pre-chopped. Okay,
all right, bestie.
You didn't spend 3 hours making your one meal.
I'm just picturing these people using very modern Gen Z slang while doing this is very funny to me. You know, I say that made it sound like I'm not Gen Z. I am. I just don't. It doesn't come off the tongue naturally for me. And whenever I do, I feel like I become a different person who's not me.
Yeah.
And I also don't have any social media anymore, basically. So I don't even know what the terms are anymore.
No,
but just
Sam,
imagine some very up to date references.
This hard tag is Riz. That's not right at all. That was really bad.
I'm gonna Riz the girls with all my cabbage.
Cap.
No cap, bruh. This cabbage has been in a cabinet for 6 months.
Weird Vibe Club. Why would you join?
It's all people who read the Boxcar Children book one. That's who it is. Also, can we just say about the Boxcar Children? Why the fuck were they not living in the boxcar the whole time? I felt so ripped off when I learned that they just moved into their grandpa's house and they just solved mysteries from then on. Fuck that. Yeah. I only want to hear about them finding little tin cups out of a dumpster.
Yeah.
I kind of want to reread it, like for real now.
The Boxcar Children inspired a novel I read as a child. What a wild vibe. So Elijah goes, maybe I shouldn't join this club.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't. And he goes to look for another class. And there is a class that's taught by a professor whose name is Arthur Remington.
Okay.
And he really wanted to be the film professor but that was already taken. And then like they had to shift some budget cuts around. So like it just wasn't going to be feasible that he could do a film class. And so what he's done is he's created an environmental science class. That's kind of secretly a film class. And it's clay and claymation.
Oh.
So he's been doing this for a decade. And students participate in this movie he's been in the progress of making for a decade.
Oh, my God.
And it's for his film, Coyote Ridge Falls. It's a Western that follows an outlaw/cowboy whose name is Artie Remming as he tries to find treasure atop Coyote Ridge. But the path there is dangerous, and even more so by the people he meets along the way, including the love of his life. Or will it be the death of his life? However, Arthur Remington isn't good at this.
The death of his life.
Yeah. The love of his life or the death of his life. Murder. So the thing here is like when he started this many years ago. So I guess really quick, the basics is that we can go over the types of clay. You know, you're learning the like geology of it, I guess, you know, the environmental science, you know. So over the years, he has had students come in and what they do is they'll analyze clay. So we kind of have a geology element to this and figuring out like what's the best kind of clay to like form stuff and like bricks or whatever. But really it turns into how do you like
well, if it's in a canyon too, that's also rocks.
Exactly, you know, and like Coyote Ridge Falls is set in the middle of the West.
I just made up the word canyon. I've fully made up the word canyon.
Oh.
It was never said. I guess I turned it into canyon. But yeah, there's probably also
You
a
just
canyon.
felt it.
There's a lot of rocks out there.
There's so many rocks out there. And I mean, Professor Arthur Remington does not care where his main character, Artie Remming, goes and does and what he touches. But the problem is, this is decades long, right? So these students are signing up for an environmental science class that's turning into claymation, which is a very dedicated process. You are making a little clay figure. You move it. You take a photo. You do, you know, like he's doing it old school, like really minimal digital elements. He hasn't really updated. And so because it's gone on for so long and all of these are students who are new to it, the plot has gone aggressively away from what he originally had to a point where he, like, who knows where it is. He's also forgotten what he's already filmed. So there's just like a lot of loops and like an average semester, by the end of it, there's probably like a total of 3 minutes of usable footage.
Right.
But then there's so much else going on. So it's kind of the movie that'll never be completed.
I think
but it is his live stream to figure out, you know.
It will be heralded as an experimental masterpiece in the meditation on the process of filmmaking in itself. Kind of a Boyhood, Richard Linklater type experience.
And I think in his mind, if he makes this movie, he might be able to get to be film professor, but there's probably some other dreams that are hanging on this. So part of it might be like subconsciously, like, does he want the movie to ever end? So it's kind of fun, but then it's also like, why is Coyote Ridge Falls? Why are we suddenly like, you know, in the like Canadian wilderness?
Yeah.
You know, and who's this side character who hasn't been here the entire time? You know, and why is there a talking bear suddenly? That wasn't the goal. It's not a children's movie. It's a dramatic story told through the form
like
and media of claymation. Which I would like to add as a personal note, claymation gives me nightmares. It freaks me out, and I can't do it. I don't like it.
I like all of them except for Wallace and Gromit, and Wallace and Gromit freaks me out. I wish
and
it
that's
didn't,
like
but
the
I
most digestible one.
I find their faces uncomfortable.
Anyway, yeah, so Arthur Remington is trying to go for it, and, you know, Elijah signs up for it, and I think he's kind of down. He's heard the stories. Everyone's like, it's a science class, but it's kind of just like a film class, so if you don't mind not, again, doing too much science, or you're like, you'll learn a lot about clay, which, again, very niche to only focus on clay, but where else would you get to do that and then apply it into something that actually is something you might do in your life? Because we all have dabbled with claymation at some point. There was a really cool section of a children's museum where you could make your own claymation. And I did get really intensive into it, but it takes for fucking ever. And I was like, okay, my dinosaur has moved 2 steps. I can't. You can be extinct now. I'm done. But yeah, no, I personally, this would be my nightmare. Depending on how creepy they look, which also, if some of these clay figures are over 10 years old, I imagine there might be different iterations they tried to fix it, but like
preservation area, they'll clean that up for you.
They like there's somebody who's like in both the class and that, and they're like, I put the clay figures around so they would guard the food, so that the rats in the lab don't come in and eat them. They'll stop them from coming in.
Yeah.
All
right. Do you want to hear about my class?
Hit me. What's Elijah taking next?
He's taking ADV 246. That's advertisement 246, jingles and slogans.
Ooh, good.
It is a course in advertising that is only about composing jingles and writing slogans. The class is in the Sue-Anne Interflueve Memorial Library. Sue-Anne Interflueve was an important and hidden part of 1960s Clatfartburg culture and is widely regarded as one of the country's most successful jingle writers. Students are tasked with creating jingles and slogans for businesses, and the course concludes in a live concert.
Oh, that's fucking good.
So I'm picturing, by the way, Sue-Anne Interflueve, she's just kind of the behind the scenes. Like, I think she was having her own personal Mad Men moment, never seen the show, in the 1960s, where she just kind of, like, on public radio and TV, if there was a jingle, that was an Interflueve, you know? If you're tapping your toes to the jaunty tunes, you know that shit's an Interflueve.
Yeah. Wow. It's so funny. I forgot to mention I had written, are there any famous students from this college? And
I don't
perhaps
think she went, but I think Nancy Pankin went.
Oh.
Is Nancy Pankin famous? No. I think that just has to answer, is there anyone famous from Clatfartburg who's not famous only in Clatfartburg? Which I don't know if there are.
Infamous within Clatfartburg, perhaps.
I think Nancy Pankin went.
Yeah.
I think that's the
But I love
one.
that they are able to have access to Sue-Anne
Yeah, Sue-Anne Interflueve, I think, was before
Sue-Anne
the college's
Interflueve.
time, but she was a teacher there in the advertising department and then left a large amount of her will to the college, which is why they had the Sue-Anne Interflueve Memorial Library. If anyone wanted to know, Interflueve I got from the Weird Word Generator. It's when two rivers are going in the same direction, but they're not joined up just yet.
Ooh.
So that area in between the two rivers is called the Interflueve.
Whoa.
I think all the last names are just going to be little dictionary lessons for me now, because I find it fun.
I love that word.
But I don't know. I just felt like in this town, maybe the jingle has gone away, but I think during the 60s, like everything had a jingle. Maybe she was involved in a Crispy jingle for like the cartoon that had 2 episodes. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that one day.
Fine, I'll be fine.
They tried to put him on a national stage. It did not work. He is a local legend only. But yeah, I just felt like that would probably be a needed thing in this town. That's what I mean. Like, I think my classes are pretty grounded, and that's not saying anything about yours. That's just a statement about mine.
Yours have like the practical of like business application. It sounds like this is really good for Elijah to take all of these.
This is the school that is trying to mold Clatfartburgians into being the Clatfartburgians that we want. And the people that we want are people who write jingles and slogans and make high concept experiences.
Which fits the quirky businesses that this town has.
And I just thought it was so silly because people who write slogans and jingles, I don't picture being the type that's like, and I want to perform them on stage. So forcing them to do a concert at the end is very funny to me.
Which it's like, how long is the concert?
About 30 minutes maximum. You know, and the problem is a lot of businesses get unsolicited jingles like all the time because you can make up a business or it can be for whatever you want. You know, and a lot of people do just do it for once in town. So most businesses have like 6 or 7 jingles just like they could pull out, but they don't. It's restraint.
And then it's unfortunate if like one sticks and it's not the one
it's not
you
the
want to
one.
have stick. And then it kind of becomes like a joke and it's like, no,
someone did a like a EDM breakdown of this boat moves too damn fast. This boat beep, 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 moves beep, 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 too. You
Herbert stands up, he's like,
where's
the banjo?
Wow. Boop, beep, 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 beep. You know, like an EDM breakdown. I can't do a good impression of it.
If I would go to a jingle concert, I might, like, it's like a 10-second jingle and then like 5 minutes of discussion with a Q&A after each jingle.
Absolutely.
So actually why I chose this loop here, I really thought that refrain rhymed with window pane. And when I think of windows, I think of seeing through it. And I really thought that that would be important for the window pane business that we have here locally. And And then there's just like parents in the crowd going like, yay. Looks like Elijah Alexander needs another extracurricular since the weird food storage thing didn't really work out. And it's so interesting because his aunt heard about this day 2, and she's like, oh, that's weird. There's actually a club I heard about that you might like. It's Key Club. He's like, oh, a Key Club. We've all heard of that. He's like, oh, okay, it's basic. I'll do it.
Is a Key Club a thing?
Yes. Yeah. They're usually just like community helper kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So,
I didn't know that. My college had no clubs, and I participated in no clubs. I mean, they had clubs. I just found them boring, so I didn't do them. That's a lie. There were no clubs I wanted to do.
Key Clubs happen a lot in like high schools, probably for the majority. But yeah, they're like a kind of a staple, kind of basic overall. Let's do good things for the community. But this isn't the Key Club that Elijah Pankin expected, and his aunt has recommended a blacksmith club.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
They call themselves the Key Club because the blacksmith club is prepping for the Iron Man, which is not the race we all know. That's a triathlon where you have to swim, bike, and run a long distance. But a similar thing, but in the blacksmith world, it's where you have to create a functional lock and key within a day, and they have to lock their precious stuff. Everyone's given a gem, right? It's like a competition, right? So everyone's like learning the basics of blacksmithery from the blacksmith. And so what the competition is that they're prepping for is that there's like a whole story. So you have a precious gem that you have to keep hidden from the bog beast. And the best way to do that is you have to keep it under lock and key. And so locks and keys are a little easier to make when you have more recreational people hopping into this. And so what they have to do is within a day or whatever like hour seems reasonable. Fortune and Fire, those people are like really big professionals, and we've got some like, smaller kids. So I'm not going with like 3 hours they have this done. But they have to create a functional lock with a functional key. And so with the lock, they have to lock away the precious gem, and then they have to hide the key, and you have to see if the bog beast can break their lock. There's a timer. If they beat the time, they pass, they win. And if the lock gets damaged, that'll take up some points or whatever. So it's basically you're trying to make sure your lock doesn't break and that your key remains hidden. But then like ideally your lock, because you have to lock it with the key, but you have to unlock it as well. So if you can go in and unlock it, you've really nailed it. And this is a hard competition, so a lot of locks get dented or whatever. And so there is like a whole little row of keys. Now, you might be thinking, the Blacksmith Club, is that who runs that? And that is run by the blacksmith who is also...
Can I say something real quick? I love all of this. May I ask, what is Bog Beast? Can we talk about that?
Oh, the Bog Beast. Yeah, certainly. So it's just somebody who's dressed up in a horrible outfit.
That's what I was picturing, but I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, it kind of has... Oh, for sure. No, I'm glad you did point that out, because in my mind I was like, obviously, but that makes sense.
Well, I mean,
we're not in my head,
what I was picturing. I'm not gonna lie. So I think like we could have gone on set, but I was like, for everybody at home,
yeah,
does not have the same kind of insane wavelength we're on. Let's make it clear that this is a man in a bad suit, in a ghillie suit.
Yeah, when you go to states, it kind of becomes like a Ren Fair thing, because you're like traveling out further, because there are not a lot of...
Does it take place at Ren Fairs? That would make a lot of sense.
You know what? It can. I feel like, yeah, maybe. I guess it would depend on...
I like that there's enough of these going on that there's a level before states.
Yeah, regionals and states.
That's crazy.
And so when they make it to states, it gets bigger and it's more fun because you've traveled out there. So like, yeah, the Ren Fair is around, but the Ren Fair, it's not like they're at the Ren Fair. The Ren Fair is there for them. So you get to like interact with people, go get your little turkey leg, but everyone's like dressed up in their little Ren Fair stuff, you know? And so it's a good time, which you have to be careful though, because like if you get the long sleeves around the forge, oops, not good.
Yeah.
So the blacksmith also never introduces his name. And just when he filed for this club a long time ago, people kind of lost the paperwork, and everyone just calls him the blacksmith. So he's also still known as the blacksmith. Elijah doesn't get preferential treatment, but the blacksmith does tinier smiles to Elijah. He does not know that his aunt is having an affair with the blacksmith.
Yes.
Which is vital here, but that's how Elijah learns about it. And he never would have done it in the first place. But I think he actually kind of enjoys it. Like, it's such a different thing. It's very physically taxing.
And we know the blacksmith is good at making locks, because in the bonus episode about the feud between Nancy Pankin and Lamarck Rouge, didn't he craft a lock and lock up the outside of Lamarck Rouge?
He did, yeah.
Yeah. So
because their music was too loud at night when they did their cabaret club.
And that's right. And they asked him to come undo it, and he said, "Oh, this one's too tough. I'll have to call one of the guys from the guild."
Yes.
That's right. So
this is also kind of secret recruitment for the guild, you know, like if you're good enough to kind of, you know, the blacksmith guild, it's a very interesting
it's not really a secret society. They just give it the air that it could be,
basically. So I was gonna look up a name for him and base it on the Skyrim name for the blacksmith guy, but I've decided the blacksmith man is too mysterious, and he will not yet have a name.
Just the blacksmith. I should add him to the randomizer database we've never used. I feel like we will. It's just there's not enough in there yet.
No, I know. And every time I hop in there, it's like, oh, it's been paused, and I clicked on pause it, and then like I've moved on to something else. Yeah, that I've like forgotten already.
I wrote
and
down
it's a
list.
cycle.
I'm gonna after today. I'm gonna add Bet Slidell.
Oh, perfect.
I'm gonna add Herbert. I'm gonna add Arthur Remington. I'm gonna add Elijah Pankin, and I'm gonna add the blacksmith.
Beautiful.
They'll all be in there. One day it'll come in handy when we need a real wrench in our gears. But like, there's still not really enough in there where it's populated. It's like, yeah, it's okay. You talked about last episode. And it's like, okay, come on, give us more variety. We need more. We will use the randomizer database one day, guys. It'll be episode 100, and we're like, should we tap into it? I think it's the time.
Well, it looks like we have like a little extra time. Do we want to talk about like what graduation looks like? It's very cute. I think everyone gets to like DIY their robes. Like, we don't have a uniform robe. I think
cute.
that
I like that.
You know, people who were doing the fashion section maybe designed some people's clothes, but like people like I don't know why I was like, someone's wearing a quilt. Why would you do that? It's probably summer, but sure, wear that quilt. You know, maybe you have little patches you've earned. They make it like a Trout Scout thing. You earn different patches for each class you take.
I mean, maybe that seems like a lot of work.
That would be fun and silly, but wild.
That'd be a lot of money they get, though.
That would be so much.
If it's $5 a patch, Jesus.
That would be a lot. And definitely there's some classes that have cooler patches than others. And then it's like
there's some people who just do it to try and get the patch. And there's a black market for the patches.
So, and they're different each year too. So you try to like sell the patches with each other, and you have like, oh, I got the 1999 macro economics.
I got jingles and slogans before they just made it Sue-Anne Interflueve's face every year.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird and creepy. I like it. Yeah. And then like people have it like framed or whatever. The Clatfartburg Museum can't even get their hands on it because people have them like on such a death grip, and it's so expensive to get like the older ones and stuff. Yeah, I imagine it's wild. And then when they hand you the diploma, it's
they have like a graduation gown in there, but it's from like 2016. So people were like, why is this one in here? Yeah. In the museum? 2016?
It's like someone's kid graduated. They're like,
8 years ago. We don't want to hear it. We know it was 8 years now. We don't want to hear it, you know?
It'll be historical one day.
It'll be vintage in like 12 more years. Shut the hell up.
It's like, it's boring. It's got Cheeto dust on it. It's fine. But yeah, they play like their own little like pomp and circumstance. It's just the jingles on loop. Yeah. And then the poor director who has severely broken hips goes to give somebody, you know, their degree, and everybody's slipping because there's secret bananas. There's butter that's been thrown on the stage, and it's just kind of the final hurrah from Slipperology. Yeah.
And I do want to say, no one's name is pronounced right, as is the way of every college graduation. I got Felicia Martzates.
Felicia
Martzates. It was the Shakespeare professor, and that's why I blame that.
Felicia's kind of sick, I'm not gonna lie. That's like, that can be your alternate personality when you go out.
Literally, because the video was live streamed, you could watch me go, huh? As I'm locking up. And like the official photos of me before graduation was like, what?
Well, lovely. So our Clatfartburg Community College, Elijah Pankin is set to figure out who he is, what he wants to do, and to have a well-rounded academic career. And I'm excited to, see what further classes might occur, as the years go by. New stuff might pop up. And we're creating brighter, beautiful citizens that can enrich the community.
Yeah.
And I would do some of these classes. I would not do some of them, though, or the clubs, some of them.
Which class would you not take?
Slipperology does sound fun, but it sounds really stressful.
Yeah, no, it's true.
But I am a little trickster, so
I would take the design one, and I would take the claymation one. I think I'd skip jingles because of the concert. I think it'd be a little much for me.
I would do jingles.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and I would probably be in the food preservation club. If it was me today, I am actually interested.
You'd be like the fun person in it, though.
Yeah. I'd be like, guys, why don't we pickle some things? And I'd actually get kicked out because I did outside research. That's why I got kicked out, because I thought that was part of it. And I got kicked out day one.
And you're like, wait, why wouldn't we?
Why wouldn't we? What's the point?
Oh, man.
All right. Well, that's our episode for today. As before we move into all of our outro, I think we should do our little headcanon from our listener. This week, we're going to be doing a headcanon from our listener, Alice. They said, I have to say, for some reason, I like to believe the Whistle Pigs pulled a sort of Mr. Peanut died scenario. Maybe not died, but I like to think they were like, Winston's retired, and occasionally post pictures on him of social media of an elderly groundhog in a Hawaiian shirt reclining on the beach and enjoying retirement, which I really like.
That's beautiful.
I really like that image of Winston retired
on
a little beach. I think that's very cute. And I think the reason they retired it was because I think they were like, it's a big push and we want to do new things, but also like the suit was grody as fuck, and when they kept trying to get it remade, they couldn't get it to look right, so they were just like, it's a whole new guy. Yeah. That's Thunder.
Like, fix it, guys. It's fine.
That's Thunder.
Yeah.
It's Thunder. Yeah. And he wasn't like polling well with the youths, They did like some things
they
like that
to get more funding and stuff.
So
cute.
That's our headcanon for today. And if you want to send more headcanons, you can send us stuff at clatfartburg@gmail.com and message us. I mean, mainly on Instagram. It's pretty much just Instagram at Clatfartburg. That's where we are. And then if you want more content from us, you could pop on over to buymeacoffee.com/Clatfartburg or just clatfartburg.com. Because actually buymeacoffee.com/Clatfartburg doesn't work. So just go to clatfartburg.com.
One day.
One day we're going to get it. Guys, we're going to get this. Go to clatfartburg.com if you want to do the little membership thing. That's our Buy Me a Coffee page. And yeah, you can join on there, get more bonus episodes. We just recorded around Pride and Prejudice commentary track. That was very fun. We got to revisit Timothy, which we haven't seen in a while.
Little Women.
What did I say?
Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, well, we did
Wild
do that.
if he was in it, but we also did that too. So
yeah, but we did do Little Women. That would be crazy. He would play Mr.
Him
Bingley.
as Darcy would be.
Him as Mr. Bingley in 20 years. I'm so curious what his career is going to be like when he's in his 40s. It's going to be fucking weird. Anyway, not the point. And then I think our bonus episode this month is going to be about C. Naster. Let's be real. It's going to be. We're doing C. Naster's backstory. He's coming this month.
Somehow.
It's what we're doing. So if you want to head over there, you can check that out.
Fabulous. And as always, what? Oh, Felicia, wait. Watch under your foot. That's the ending of the podcast.
Oh, no.
Slip, fall. Oh, no.
You got me, Slidell.
8+.
Bye.
Bye.